to hand over to Khai, right? I was just saying that I've been following AI for years because I think it's the most fascinating thing. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, look up the 2045 project. I say no more, but that's where AI, they reckon it'll get to by that time. So is AI capable of doing hypnosis? Right? I can't wait to find out what Kai's got to say about this. So, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone and everything else in between, it's my honor to introduce someone who is like truly passionate about transforming lives. Khai, a particular favorite of mine. I love his energy. I always have done, and I can't wait to see what he's going to present with. His greatest motivation comes from seeing the disbelief in the client's eyes when they realize they're capable of acquiring all their goals. And I love that look myself. It's a priceless look. So he's hit his stride with that. And this is a kind of transformation that goes beyond just teaching, right? It's a skill. It's about awakening the potential, yeah, and breaking free from all those limitations. So love it. As a coach and a hypnotherapist, he's been around for about 15 years, although he looks a little bit older. And Kai's discovered that when people fully commit to the goals, both mentally and with their entire time available, anything is achievable, right? And what's even more remarkable is when his clients are going through that struggle, he doesn't just guide them through it, but he takes a moment to reflect when similar challenges may appear in his own life and work on it. Let that sink in. This is a deep personal connection that allows him to create personal breakthroughs that are quite profound, both for himself as well as for his clients. He balances this with personal growth, family life, ensures that time's always carved out every week to be with his loved ones, and he knows that the success of his business has made these moments even more meaningful in his free time. How about that? Today, you'll experience Khai's heartfelt approach and one that blends professional expertise with genuine care for each individual and each of their successes. Please join me in welcoming Khai to the stage. Khai, you have the platform. And from me, itadakimasu. I will see you all soon.
Thank you, Mark. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Well, thank you for having me to speak here in this conference to just share a little bit of my research into AI and how does that, well, help us and how we can move forward with doing the business in coaching and training. So the first thing that I want to ask everyone here, the Khai that you are seeing now on your screen, how do you know that he's not an AI? How do you know that this is not a pre-recorded video and scripted out in a way that would talk about the topic that has been given ahead of time? Wouldn't that be something to think about? Wouldn't that be something that is actually possible? That the person that you're seeing in your screen right now is not a real person, but you would still listen to him, it, whichever, and learn something from it. Wouldn't that be something? Well, for some of us, we go like, okay, let's stay away from the screen right now because he might not be real. and all this has been introduced into our lives these days, and it's such a norm to now realize that it's so difficult to tell apart from what's true and what's not visually. And for all of us here who are practitioners and trainers, we want to know why. Why is it that it's time for us to start asking the question and be concerned with AI's capability to perform hypnosis? Now, in the recent years, we have witnessed AI making remarkable strides in areas once thought to be exclusively dominated by human capabilities. For many years, newscasters are said to be, possibly replaced. For many years, things that have been led by what we call, human jobs are now being questioned. Are they going to be replaced? Now, from healthcare diagnosis to creative writing, AI has shown an uncanny ability to learn, to adapt, and even innovate. Now, this progression in terms of the advancement of AI isn't slowing down, it is accelerating. And the creators of OpenAI, ChatGPT, and if you heard of it before, they don't sleep. Why? Because every day itself, the program, the AI itself is evolving, and they are catching up to how quickly it is evolving. So consider this. Just 10 years ago, 2014, where were we? The idea of AI writing a coherent paragraphs was science fiction. To type something in your computer and hope that it will generate back paragraphs of content that would deem sensible and readable, and it makes sense to us, is something that is really hard to brain. Now, today, AI can write entire articles, books, and even mimic specific writing styles if you tell them specifically what type of writing styles you want it to be. Now, if AI can make such leap in these complex and subtle differences that it's so hard to differentiate anymore, is it so far-fetched to actually think that AI can be doing hypnosis one day? Now, imagine, if you will, a world where AI could induce trance states and guide people through transformative experiences. How would that change our field? And more importantly, if the masses of population start to accept that being induced into a state of trance by a programmed computer and being guided by a program to have a transformative experience is something that's acceptable, how would that change us? Now, in all the software that we use, think about this. We have no idea how deeply penetrated AI has been in our daily lives. Now, here's the thing. Imagine this. In all the software that you're using now, whether through your phones or through your laptops, in all the software that we use, how aware are we in terms of the level of involvement of AI in those softwares? Think about this. How aware are we in terms, how deeply infiltrated has AI been receiving and analyzing the data of our usage of those softwares? Because think about this, data these days is one of the most valuable commodity in the world today. What kind of data? It says that if there is an application or a program that you're using for free, you're paying it with your information. An example would be the amount of time you use in your scrolling of certain social media content, and how long you linger up to a nanoseconds, how long you linger onto a specific ad will be taken into as information, and it will generate a pattern of who you are. Now, I'm just sharing with you the ability of AI. Now, just as we've seen that how advancing AI is these days, significant changes will happen within months or even weeks. Now, if you're watching this video, maybe a couple of weeks or couple of months from now, and you watch it as a replay, whatever I'm sharing with you in terms of the capability of AI would have already been obsolete. My information would have already been obsolete. That's how fast it's evolving, and that's how much people are actually pumping in resources and tirelessly working at it so that it becomes something that will be on par and replace certain complexity that we humans can do. So here's the crucial question. Will AI be a tool that enhances our ability in doing hypnosis? Or will it be a disruptive force that challenges the very foundation of our practice? To answer this, we need to dive deeper into both the nature of AI and the essence of hypnosis. We need to understand what makes hypnosis hypnosis. What is the process that we deem is hypnosis? And will AI be able, or will the developers of AI be able to program the AI so that it learns to execute those processes? Now, we need to explore these two domains and these two different things and see whether there is a divergence, whether there is a similarity where both of it could come and meet at the center point, or there are certain differences that will never come into a common ground. So as we embark on this exploration, I'm going to invite all of you to keep an open mind. Just like how Milton Erickson would have taught us to utilize whatever that the client brings to the session, let's approach this thing that exists in our daily life today called AI with the same intention of curiosity and adaptability. So to understand if AI can truly perform hypnosis, we first need to understand what AI is and what it is capable of. Now, at its core, in the most fundamental way of describing AI is like this. AI is like a highly sophisticated pattern recognition and a prediction machine. It's almost like you having a million interns working for you tirelessly to spot trends in whatever data you have given to them, and they learn to make connections, but without coffee breaks or office dramas. So they are constantly working. Now, the current AI that exists today excels in three areas. The first area that AI excels in is a language processing thing, where the AI can understand and generate human-like text. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that AI is good at now doing pattern recognition. It can identify complex patterns in the data set that you feed it with, and it might recognize those patterns that we humans might miss. Number three, the AI now has started to excel in terms of emotional intelligence. To some degree, it can recognize and respond to emotional cues in text and speech, as well as videos. Just, I think, about 10 or 11 years ago, if you actually Google up Ellie and call the SIM service or something like that, by the DARPA, one of the American agency, they actually put up YouTube videos on how the AI is responding to a client's facial cues based on how with the direction of his face and the little movements on his facial expression and responding to that. That's 10 years ago. Now, that agency have not released that to public, but that gives us an idea. If 10 years ago, they already written a program that allows the AI to respond, to ask questions in a context of therapy based on how that person's facial cues and minute movements are, and respond accordingly, it's 10 years after now. Just imagine how far it has been. Now, AI could potentially guide attention through careful crafted language, suggested relaxation techniques, stimulate imagination and vivid description, and offer suggestions based on the patterns of how the coaching client or the patient are actually responding to the certain questions in a therapy session. It could do some of those things. But let's look in contrast now in terms of the fundamental principles of hypnosis. What is the fundamental principles of hypnosis? And I would like us to look into the utilization approach by Milton Erickson. This approach is the pinnacle of adaptive, client-centered hypnotherapy, and it's about using whatever the client brings to the session. It could be their beliefs, it could be the behaviors that they have, it could be even the resistance that they bring to the table, and you can always use those things, and keyword here is utilize those things as a pathway where you could redirect them to achieve change. So that's the utilization approach by Milton Erickson that he uses in hypnosis. Now, I find Milton Erickson that says this: patients are patients because they are out of rapport with their unconscious. And patients are people who have had too much programming, outside programming, and so much outside programming that they have lost touch with their inner self. So all of us here who are using hypnosis or any other modality for the purpose of helping somebody go through change and to achieve the life that they want, ultimately, what are we doing? We are actually putting them on a process so that they start connecting with their unconscious mind. All the programming that you see today, I have nieces and nephews and, kids of my own, and I see how, when they are at a period where you have to start thinking, which schools should I send them to? And you'll be looking into, okay, what are the schools teaching the kids these days? And everything that the school, well, not everything, most of the thing is all about equipping how they could think consciously, which equips them to trust their conscious mind and never really mention about, hey, there is this thing called the unconscious mind, where you learn to accept and be aware of the emotions that you have then, to be aware of the behaviors that you do, to realize that you're doing this. Those unconscious patterns that teenagers or kids would do, they took that entirely out of the education system. So when Milton Erickson says this, it makes me realize that whatever we do, we want to integrate the conscious and the unconscious part of our clients. Same goes to ourselves. And if you're following in terms of the training that we have, we talk about that all learnings and all behaviors and all change is unconscious. If you're talking about wanting to be aware of what you've learned, be aware of the behaviors that you have, be aware of the change that you have, it's about being conscious of an unconscious process, because all those are a process. So this is where hypnosis comes into play. This is my point of view, and this is what I realize based on when I'm teaching hypnosis to my students. This is what I realize in terms of what hypnosis actually is. Hypnosis is actually creating an uncritical flow of communication within ourselves. I'll say this again, it's something worth writing down. This is what I tell my students. Hypnosis is the uncritical flow of communication within self. What does that mean? It means if I tell myself something, for example, I am going to eat that wonderful pizza today. And everything about my behavior would go and manifest that communication. That's an uncritical flow, because there is no part of me that start questioning and say, hey, maybe not that pizza. Maybe you want to eat that burger instead. There is no part of me that doubts what I say, because a conscious instruction that tells myself immediately gets accepted by the unconscious mind that runs the body. So hypnosis is basically that. And we know that hypnosis is all about self-hypnosis, that we, the hypnotherapists, will no power over the client. We don't go and, make them go into trance. We'll be merely giving them suggestions, and the clients or the patient will have to accept that suggestion and tell it to themselves in order for them to manifest or act out that hypnotic phenomena like hand catalepsy, closure of the eyes, eye fixation, they have to accept that suggestion. So we are not doing anything to them. Now think, the more trance work you do with your patients or your clients, the more integrated their conscious and unconscious mind becomes, because you're telling them to do things that they don't normally do every day. Who walks around and say, okay, I'm gonna go into arm catalepsy right now and start walking around with a levitated arm? Who's walking around telling ourselves that we need to move our hands to our face and then go deeper and deeper and deeper? No, we don't. So those are things that are ridiculous or crazy. And it's not normal to tell somebody to do, but they accept it and they do it. And that's the value of hypnosis, because the process of the patient telling themselves ridiculous things and they are able to get their body to do it. All our goals, all our dreams and ambitions are ridiculous to begin with. And if we are so used to telling us ridiculous stuff and okay acting it out, that's an uncritical flow. We don't question it, that the critical faculty is taken out of the equation, and therefore we start doing what we need to do to achieve what we need to achieve. So that's my understanding of how hypnosis can actually help. Yes, I mean, we put in the positive suggestion when the trance is deeper and all, but the trance work itself has its value. That's why we're talking today. Can AI actually, do that process? The second thing that I find really interesting from Milton Erickson is he says this: my learning over the years that I tried to direct the patient too much. It took me a long time to let things develop and make use of things as they develop, which is the utilization approach. There's nothing that the patient could do that I cannot use to achieve what I want to achieve in my trance work. So the question is, will AI be able to do that? Now, the utilization approach talks about a few processes. It talks about being able to build rapport, being able to direct the patient to focus their attention on something so that it starts fixating on certain things. The process of the trance work also includes whether they are able to break the client's hold of their model of the world, which is to loosen their model of the world, the grip towards the thinking that they have. There is also questions or communications in your trance work that will allow them to do a unconscious search, which means they cause them to start finding answers that is beyond their normal thinking. And then there is also unconscious processes that will bypass their critical faculties, such as telling a story or a metaphor that matches their values, and they are okay and they could connect with it. So all this, and as well as being able to spot the hypnotic patterns and evaluate the results, which is the sensory acuity. Now, all of us, when we take in coaching clients or patients in our therapy, we look at them and we are able to adapt our approach in helping them as the process of doing trance work according to the physiological shift that we see in them. We don't just blindly follow a script. Okay, all of us start at some point, we stick to the script, yeah? At some point, we all start, okay, I'm sure there is a percentage of some people, they are a little bit more adventurous. They go and say, I won't follow the script. There we go. Both ends of the spectrum. But at some point, we know that we are changing the way we communicate in terms of inducing trance so that they go deeper and deeper according to the physiological shift. Because at some point, certain words that we use have to be used while they are breathing out. There are certain words, such suggestion that we use when they are breathing in. Why do I say all this? to let you know how much processes and how much skill is needed in order to do a thing called trance work. So let's consider 3 human elements that are crucial in hypnosis. Number 1, rapport building. We always talk about mirror and matching. Yeah? In this case, it's very simple. Human and human, that's the most basic matching you can get. Human and computer, that's the first mismatch. Number 2, the human element of us being a hypnotherapist is that we could cater and tailor to that individual needs, which means we have the ability to read subtle cues and adjust in real time. Keyword here, we can read the cues and adjust in real time and perpetually adjust in real time as we go. So the flexibility approach is there because we could change tactics when something isn't working. If Milton Erickson's permissible indirect approach to trance work doesn't work, I will do the authoritative direct approach. Correct? So that's the flexibility that we're saying here. Now, here's where we encounter the limits of AI. It's like trying to teach a fish to climb a tree. AI can simulate empathy, but can it truly feel emotions? It can only simulate based on what the programmers put in. Now, we know this, yeah? If there are, I don't know, nowadays it's close to what, 8 billion people in the world nowadays? If there are 8 billion people in this world, there are at least 8 billion different models of the world. And how I define empathy will be different from everybody here. And how I program the AI to simulate empathy will be based on my view of what empathy actually is. And there are certain people that I can empathize better, but not certain other group of people because, well, that's just life. Because I'm more drawn to people who are drawn to me, and we are all drawn to specific groups of people. And so we can truly feel them easier than, in terms of emotion, easily than others. So it can analyze, the AI can analyze patterns of human behavior, but can it really intuitively sense the unspoken needs of a client? This is key. Can the AI actually sense an unspoken need from a client? Keyword here, intuitively. If you want to get into how, how intuition happens and so on and so forth, we actually talk about that in the Master Practitioner in our NLP coaching. So if you have that manual, it's one of that. And there is a beautiful piece of information written there, and you could read it and explains really well how intuition actually happens. So let's address the core question here. Can AI truly replace human hypnotherapists? The answer, everybody, I'm going to keep it short. No. Time to take question. Okay, let me give you some pointers. So if you're going to go out there and somebody asks you to elaborate more, at least, okay, Khai gave us something to brag about. Okay, good. So here it goes. First one, empathic connection. Hypnosis is not just about words and techniques and scripts. It's about the human connection between a practitioner and client. AI, no matter how advanced, lacks the genuine empathy that forms the foundation of this connection. Because always at the back of the mind, you will have to suspend your disbelief. If I'm a patient and if I truly want to believe that computer actually knows truly how I believe, I have to first imagine and hallucinate that that's actually a real person. And if I don't hallucinate that that person that I'm talking to is actually real, I cannot form that human connection with the AI. That's one of the first things. Secondly, the AI cannot do a thing called intuitive adaptability. We hypnotherapists, we don't just follow scripts. We adapt intuitively to the client's unique response, and often in ways that is not a verbal cue. It's usually a non-verbal physiological shift. And we would adapt our way of doing the script differently. Number 3, ethical judgment. Hypnosis involves complex ethical consideration. AI lacks the moral reasoning and situational judgment required to navigate what we call ethical areas. Think about this. Imagine a client. For example, in this case, let's do a client that comes and wants to do a weight loss program. And in the session, let's say the client comes back and updates and say, okay, I've been skipping meals, I didn't do what I need to do, and due to because there are certain other stress areas that I have. And the human hypnotist will be able to recognize the need to address the underlying issue and might direct the client to a way to sort out the greater problem. And AI would now at this point focus solely on the weight loss goal and deal with the weight loss or not doing the skipping meal program and not deal with the greater problem, because the AI is just programmed to do surface structure. Next one, rapport and trust. That's the main one. Now, all of us know when there's rapport in hypnotherapy, you achieve mid-trance. But can it really be achieved with an AI? Because to really begin with, it's a mismatch. Computer, human. How are you going to continue to mesh that? Next, contextual understanding. The human can grasp subtle differences in cultural, social, personal context and inform the client's issue based on their background. Whereas the AI had no understanding of that unless they have information about you. But if you and me are from the same country, we don't need to go through stories about, our upbringing in order for me to, give metaphors or approaches based on how you would accept it culturally and socially. That being said, I have not even touched about the ethical implications of how would we ensure the privacy and security of our personal information when you're working with an AI hypnotherapist. Who would be responsible if something goes wrong? How can we be sure that the AI suggestions are truly in the best interest of the client? So while AI can be a powerful tool in our arsenal, it's clear that the essence of hypnosis, the art form of hypnosis, the intuition, the human touch, remains squarely in the realm of human expertise. So guys, our job is safe. So for now. We don't need to worry about it being replaced. Now, given that AI cannot replace us, how do we then best position ourselves in this evolving landscape? Number 1, continue your learning and your training. AI at this point in time are starting to take over routine tasks. Our value as coaches, as trainers, as hypnotherapists, our value lies solely uniquely in human skills that is not programmable. We are not ones and zeros, my friends. Therefore, we cannot be programmed and replicate fully. What do we mean by it? What do you want to do in terms of continuing your learning and your training? You want to increase your logical level of thinking. We always start by learning something. For example, what does it mean to increase my logical level of thinking? How do I increase the complexity of my thinking? The example that I always use is this. When we first learn to ride a bike, The understanding that we have about riding a bike is very fundamental, yes? As long as I know what I need to do to get onto the bike and move myself and the bike from point A to point B, I know I've successfully mastered a thing called riding a bike. Yes? The next level of logical level thinking in the context of riding a bike is now I can watch somebody who's learning how to ride a bike and pinpoint what are the things they need to fine tune so that they get better at it. That's the next level. So my understanding of the topic of riding a bike becomes more complex because now I can pinpoint, oh, that's a problem. This is how you fix it. What's the next level of logical level of thinking? Is now I start teaching people how to ride a bike. So now I go and gather, okay, who wants to learn how to ride a bike? I'm starting a class. Everybody come, I'll teach you. You come into my class. I know the process. Could be a 2 days, 3 days thing. By the third day you leave my class, you'll be able to ride the bike. What's the next level of thinking in terms of this? Is you start training teachers that could teach other people to ride the bike. So I want you to know and spot the differences in terms of how well you understand the topic of riding a bike as compared to I just starting to learn how to ride. And now I could teach teachers to train other people to ride the bike. The depth of my knowledge and mastery about the topic of riding a bike goes on to a next level. It's not even close as compared to the person who starts learning a bike. So whatever topic, whatever skills and that you have right now in your business of doing hypnotherapy, where are you at? Where's your level of logical level of thinking? How deep is your knowledge towards the skill that you have in hypnosis? Because here's the thing, the more complex your thinking is, the harder you are being replaced, the harder it is to emulate what you do. And that, my friends, is highly valued stuff. In very layman, physical matter term, we make a lot more money. Yeah. Number two, what do you want to do next? In this whole idea, the environment of the growing of AI, how do we proceed? You want to cultivate emotional intelligence. While AI can recognize emotions, it cannot truly understand or respond to them. So you want to have skill set and processes that allows you to work with other people's emotional state and of course your own state. Yeah, God forbid, so that we don't have to talk a computer about our emotional problems next time. If I know how to deal with my own emotional, struggles, I can then help other people in terms of their emotional problems. And that's where timeline therapy comes into play. I mean, we got to give it to Ted because so many years ago, he has already seen the importance of any human being in the world having a skill set to deal with our own emotional problems. And he came up with that process. And when you think about today, every single one of the major negative emotions is affecting us in any areas, different age, different places in our lives. So that's how important it is for us to have that skill set so that we can incorporate it as part of the process where we help people in therapy or coaching. Number three, you want to emphasize on human connection. Here's how you position your product and services, guys, ladies. You want to put out your product and your services in a way that, because the world has been increasingly being dominated by technology, and therefore the human touch becomes ever more valuable these days. People will pay more just to see you face to face. So emphasize the benefits of your products and services that you offer that human touch as part of the benefit of you being a therapist. Number 4, engage with a community of people that is of your profession. Now, if you're watching this video and you are here, you are already part of that community, and stay connected with this community, because we are here to share insights and learn about new developments and maintain what is the best practice, because we believe that this is a collective learning platform where everybody comes and there's something that we could learn from one another. Number 5, contribute to the field. Contribute to this industry, to not, okay, industry is a small chunk word. Contribute to this purpose. Every one of us come here with a purpose of wanting to help somebody, wanting to be able to become that, okay, the word is that agent of change. So contribute to that purpose of just wanting to make this world a better place, where people can actually come and realize that the problem we have is always something that we could deal with. There's always a process to work with it. So those are the few things that I want to share in terms of how we can navigate in today's world where AI is starting to become more advanced. So remember, our goal is never to compete with AI. I'm not saying that it's bad, but we need to evolve alongside it. By focusing on our uniquely human capabilities and continuously upskilling, we are able to position ourselves just to thrive in this new landscape and start being the lead to show how we could actually integrate all those and still maintain the value of being a human. So this is all I want to share. I would love to take questions now. We do have some time. So do I need to read from the chat, or are you just going to raise your hand and ask now? Okay, I guess I have to. Okay, come, Ruth.
Hi, that was really amazing. Thank you. Very, very informative. Now, I think somebody spoke to that already. When people download recordings or pre-recorded hypnosis sessions, so it's a similar thing, really, because you're not having that pre-induction talk, and so they're just listening. So there's not that human touch, even though they may get it from you or from the therapist. But it's a similar thing. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is, because I do record my trance induction script according to the suggestion that my client needs, and I ask them to go back and listen to it and fall asleep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Even that, it's my voice. They know it came from me.
And that's after you've interviewed them, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So if it's just a generic recording, it's similar to an AI thing then.
If it's still my voice, and I've known other hypnotherapists in our field who actually does put out free relaxation hypnotics audio tracks for people to download as a marketing tool. Even so, people have to go to their website, click certain things so that they go into part of that whole engagement to download those things. That's fine too, because if they will land in your website, they know you're a human. They know that a friend of a friend recommended you, or there's some ways that I've reached your website and I would want to listen to how your induction and your voice sounds like. It would still be a human touch to it.
And what about working remotely? So rather than face to face?
Remote.
Does anybody here? I don't think we've got a session on that, have we? For people
to answer that question, yes. Well, ever since the world has been introduced to this thing called a lockdown, all of us start being okay doing things online. And I don't think for one that would actually take away the value of us doing this, even if it's just online. Until today, I still cater to students who wants to come and get certified at the Prac and Master Prac level. They want to do it online because it's easier for them in terms of traveling. There are still groups of people that wants to do training face-to-face. And if I have the time for it, I will cater for both. And I would say all my coaching clients are online.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course, I have to verify and say this is real me. And sometimes we have like a secret password and say so that they know they're talking to the real me.
Oh, that's okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Or I'm just gonna.
Is it really you, Khai?
I don't know. Sometimes I
If you
question
don't
myself, am
know.
I real?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yes. This is me. Hi. And I will never give up any AI out there to be able to have my face. But what's stopping them from having it already anyway?
By the way, we have disabled the AI companion function in this conference and in this account, just so that everybody knows that, you know, their face is not going to be taken away. Speaking of that.
I see. Somebody
So
just said, wave at us.
Is there actually an element with AI generated faces when you talk? Is there an element that actually allows you to actually realize that it's AI? I don't know enough about it.
Only if you know what to look for.
Okay.
Because I think it was Microsoft. Microsoft already have a software where you could just type in what you want the AI to read for you. And then it's so advanced that even the subtle eye movements are even being able to emulate.
Okay.
So now they're even able to do it up to like micro movements. So yeah. Only if you know what to look for. Usually what we'll do is we'll look for the glow in the eye.
Okay.
You would be able to see reflection. Yeah. You'll be able to see reflection from the eyeball if it's a real person, because as it moves, the light reflects differently, and they couldn't do it at that level just yet.
Okay. Now, as of now.
You
So
hear
probably.
me put a lot of this pre-frame and says now, because who knows what will happen next, yeah? The rest. Okay. Hi, wave at us. Okay. It's good that, when I read the chat, there's quite a number of people who knows how to, prevent and find out if I'm actually real. So yeah, I will wave as I read this one. I'm real. And so is AI, isn't it? They're still physically, real. They're just not real humans. I don't see any question. I must be really spot on. If I did not, spark any questions. Perfect. Wonderful, guys. Well, if you have any other questions, I am not going to throw in, information just because we still got time. Well, what does AI do? What does AI
Glasses,
do?
about glasses, reading glasses.
Glasses?
Reading
What
spectacles. Reading glasses, I think. On your eyes.
Yeah. What do you mean? What does it do about glasses? As in, is it able to capture the reflection of what's in front of me, or is that what Rafi, did I get your name right? Could you explain a little bit what you mean by that question? How does it handle things in front of? AIs. It handles based on what it learns that is acceptable to other people, based on the context of where the conversation is happening. If I'm just doing a quick mind reading here based on what I understand, yeah? If they were to program reflection of light, and you already see this happening in terms of in the gaming world, the games that they now have has a thing called ray tracing, where the programmers are able to build in programs to learn how to reflect light in the game. That makes the game more realistic because of where the light source is coming from. And if there is a puddle of water in the game, the water will also reflect the light according to the angle of the light source. So if you're asking, are there already algorithms and programs that will be able to be programmed to emulate the reflection of light through surfaces that would reflect light? I say yes, absolutely. Are they able to do it in real time? That's the question. So let's say you suddenly ask me, okay, Khai, go and off the light right now. You went off the light right now. And just the monitor light coming to my face, would you be able to see that? Or would the programming go crazy and you start seeing boxes on my face? I'm still saying as if I'm like AI. The hell, Khai. I'm real, guys. Proving to you again, I'm real. So yeah. I hope I answered your question, Rafi. Good. Hi, Bagesh. Nice to see you again. Can I handle everything through TLT or everything through? Can I treat trauma and even minor problems through TLT as it will be broad enough to TLT itself? I will say this. Timeline therapy is good when you're dealing with negative emotions and limiting decisions, mainly in the process of doing a full personal breakthrough. You will also need to look in other areas because sometimes it's not just the negative emotions and limiting decisions that are creating obstacles for us. Yeah. Once you remove the blockages in the past, you would still also have to install new behaviors. And you would also need to deal with possible parts issue or internal conflict that arises when you are installing the new behaviors. So that includes the NLP bit, where you will start to look into the behavioralism angle approach into transformation and change. And the overall umbrella of, creating that conscious and unconscious integration using hypnosis is also going to be crucial. And Bagesh, if you know about values level, that's another thing that the AI cannot emulate, is your ability to look at the client and based on what they're telling you, determine the environment that they are in, and based on the words that they say and the responses and the physiological shift of how they're telling you their problems, you'll be able to determine their values level, which is the complexity of their thinking. And then you can cater your coaching based on that, which AI cannot do at this point in time, is to be able to evaluate from moment to moment, because a person's value level thinking in terms of the complexity of their thinking is not determined by one incident. Different contexts in their life, they will have different values level thinking. So the AI won't be able to determine that. So to answer your question, if you know TLT, timeline therapy, and the other modalities, that's the best, most elaborate way, and the eclectic. Am I getting the word right? You know what I'm saying. The holistic approach of how you can help them to deal with the past and have the future that they want. Thank you for the question, Bagesh. I think that's a fantastic question. Next, just sharing. I do use timeline therapy for trauma and hypnotherapy. However, please note to use timeline therapy, negative emotion number one, and don't bring clients to position. Yeah. Yes. 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 Negative emotion number two. If you have the manual underneath there, there is a warning that says don't use this for phobia or any trauma. Yes. I'm actually looking how many knots we have. Guys, please note. Adriana is watching. Now, if you don't know, well, there is for me, it's a once in a lifetime thing where the timeline therapy trainers training is actually doing it live. I mean, I've only heard it for the first time, so I will say it for my entire life. I only know that it has run once, and that's the time now. This year, it's running it live. So go back, and I have no idea what surprises and new stuff you're going to learn there, but I think it's worth considering if you have not done your timeline therapy trainers training. So, and yes, and if you've done it, you would know what I'm saying, that negative emotion, you don't use. Okay. Good. Thank you, Khai, for the session where I programmed my Google Home to interact with me at our reading house. Tell me I can. Yes, we do that too. When we get all very excited when our phones start having this, Siri or Google Assistant, and we start talking to them. That innate need to communicate, to the point that we try and start talking to our phones, and only to realize that they are not humans, that they don't even understand what we're saying. Yes, yeah. I mean, I'm totally fine with that. I mean, the smart home is one of the things these days that to really have computer programs to run the mundane stuff for us. Absolutely. If you use AI, you cannot have a broad picture. Yeah, that makes sense too. Absolutely. Well, I have 2 more minutes. I will take one more question. If there are no more questions, I will pass the time back to Candice. Good. Candice?
Just got booted out and I'm back in. Thank you so much, Khai. It's worth staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning. I feel like I'm sitting in master practitioner with so much information from all of you guys, speakers. It's worth it, cup of coffee. I don't even need it. I feel like, wow, what's next? For those of you that don't know me, yeah. I don't know how to use Zoom very well. I see messages. I'm looking all over the place. I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I guess I could possibly ask AI how to work this, right? Khai, when we were at Facebook Live, we could have done that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And Candice, can I just tell this to everybody, and to see you really step up and to really embrace the whole, getting into social media and learning how to do live and technology and software and online and talking to millions of people around. And to be honest, I learn alongside with you as well. So
always learning, always learning. Yeah, I'll probably be doing the timeline therapy trainers training too, because I believe it's been over a decade. It's been over 10 years when I've done the live timeline therapy trainers training. So are you going to be there, Khai?
I am in Japan that time, so yeah.
Nice. Anyway,
We'll see.
We'll see. Thank you very much, Khai. It was very informative. I'm not so comfortable yet, AI, but it made my mind think. And where's your glasses? Because you're not the Khai I know. Are you real?
Yeah, the real Khai wears glasses. So, oops, where did he go?
Contact
He just wears
lenses.
contact lens. Yeah, he just wears contact lens. You don't need an AI to do that, Candice. It's very, human thing to do.
Right. Thank you very much. I guess we're going to take a 15-minute break.